I want you to think about the first game you ever played. Maybe it was Counter-Strike, League of Legends, or even Pac-Man. Those were the days. Now fast forward to today and gaming has evolved dramatically. New game systems, technological innovations, or giant IPs. While there are many things that have changed, there's one thing that has never changed. The desire to be the best.
And it is now time for us to capture history. Are you guys excited?
Look at find this 7 seconds, they've got the bomb. They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more clay. Stewie's won the round. We're going to overtime.
Oh, Sparkle! Carmen, what are you doing? This is unbelievable!
Calm down. Oh, the shot over.
Oh. Okay, big opportunity. He can't rest. That's right.
There's enough to do it.
Mega wins SmashCon 2022. Oh my God, from winners.
We play game after game, fire round after round, memorize combos, study guides, and everything in between to absolutely dominate our games and lobbies, to become someone who is better than the many others who play and grind the games that we love. But why exactly do some players rise the ranks to superstardom, quickly learning, adapting, and mastering their game of choice, while others stagnate, unable to ever truly reach that top percentile, even in spite of trying their hardest? Let's break this down into 4 distinct categories to show you what you need to do to make your way to a pro caliber player. First off is surpassing that top 50%, better than average. Now, getting into the top 50% of a player base can be easy or difficult depending on your gaming background and experience. If you have skills from previous similar games that can carry over, it can be a walk in the park. For example, if you were top 20% in any FPS game, transferring over your FPS skill to another game, even if it's quite different, will be easy because of your mechanical gun skill. Now, if you're new or say moving into a completely different genre, then breaking that top 50% will take quite a while as you're starting from literally zero. Now, if you are already fairly high in rank, you might think that you can just skip and overlook these steps, but by building the proper foundation now, your development later on will become far easier, and if you do these starting steps wrong, you can stagnate later on. So regardless of your current skill level, these are the core things you need to do to push past the top 50% and set yourself up for consistent improvement later on. Number 1 is optimization of settings and equipment. Prioritizing high frame rate and having a monitor or TV that is capable of matching whatever your system provides, whether that's PC or console. Quality equipment overall, whether that's a controller, mouse, keyboard, whatever you're using, how you expect it to perform well in your games if you don't have a great equipment that you can rely on and that matches your games of choice. In the dark, look at pros that are similar to you and your play styles and try to match their settings and then work off from there so that you have optimization in everything that you're doing. Next up is developing raw mechanics. Off the bat, for FPSs, this could be aim training and practicing certain mechanical aspects like flicking or tracking. For fighting games, this is combo work, and in general, games have server work where you're mastering lineups and certain routing tactics and movement across different maps. On top of that, you want to be seeking constant perfection. Work towards improving accuracy and consistency every single day. It's going to be a constant work in progress here, and it's much like a muscle where it's always going to need to be developed further. There's never a time when your aim or your mechanics is just done. It always wants to get better and better, and that's the journey that you're going to be on. Number 3 is not autopiloting and embracing quality practice. Create a quality practice routine that focuses on your weaknesses. This could mean specific aim practice like flicking and tracking. This could be practicing specific combos that are hard for you to execute and make it so you can do them 100% consistently outside of your game so that when you're in your games, you're far more consistent. You need to find a practice that works for you but pushes you to work on your mistakes and weaknesses and constantly get better. You also need to stop grinding or playing without thinking. Many people want to grind game after game, but they lose themselves in the process, never evaluating or thinking about the things that they could do better. Make sure that after every single match you're evaluating and not just going through the motions, because you could stagnate your progress and become someone that never improves and gets past that 50%. Now, next up is the top 10%, highly skilled individuals. Now, pushing into the top 10% is no easy feat. No one gets here without a resume of effort. In order to get to this tier, you need to learn your game inside and out. Not just with the knowledge or strategies, but the mechanics to execute them. Once you are here, you will finally be skilled by any metric. That being said, there are multiple reasons why players are unable to surpass the 10% threshold, and they just stay above average their entire gaming life. Now, first off, you need to understand the difference between a generalist and a specialist. Generalists learn everything a game has to offer at the same time. learning multiple characters, trying to learn the game in a very broad sense. This is actually effective for initially learning games, as you can observe and absorb knowledge, but eventually it becomes inefficient with time spent because you need compound effort, and that's where specialization comes in. Specialization is better for you as you transition from a beginner to an advanced player. You no longer need to learn everything because you have general knowledge already, but you are seeking mastery, and for that, you need to funnel down. The more you isolate the factors you are working on, the faster and further you will go towards mastering that variable. This means that you want to narrow down as much as you can that the meta allows, which we'll explain further in the video. Next up is your core weaknesses. They need to be addressed. In every game, there's a pillar of 3 skills: game sense, positioning, and mechanics. And if you have a weakness in one of these 3 categories, this is what's going to prevent you from improving past the 10%. For game sense, it's your overall game understanding, and if you find yourself unable to understand interactions or mechanics your opponents have used, it's time for you to study up and level up your game sense. Positioning is the areas that you play and operate from. This can vary from game to game, but generally, good positions make you more survivable, more impactful, and more difficult to play against. Unnecessary or spontaneous deaths in games are often caused by a mistake in positioning. Last up is mechanics, and mechanical skill is the backbone of all game skills. The ability to execute a game plan is directly based on your ability to mechanically perform a task under a certain time interval consistently. This should be a constant work in progress, as you can always have better mechanics. The number 3 is meta adaptation. There's a lot of people that might believe that they are too good to play meta. They want to go against the grain and they don't want to play what are the perceived best strategies in every given high level of play in their game of choice. Now, it's important at this stage to fully understand and potentially even embrace a meta. Meta is the effective and known strategies that are working at the highest level, and trying to pave your own way for the sake of identity works at odds with the teamwork needed to succeed at the highest level. A jab is still a jab. A layup is still a layup. These are things that are not being reinvented. So in some cases, you need to embrace what works at the highest level instead of rejecting them just to make it so that you are unique and you have a unique identity. That being said, if you decide to go against the grain and not play meta strats or heroes, you need to at least understand how this lines up against the meta. Not playing the meta is acceptable if you have a game plan against the meta and an understanding of how your specific character, deck, or strategy lines up against the meta in your gameplay. If you're gonna go against the grain, you need to be extra prepared than people that are just trying to follow the grain but be better at it. Doing one of these 2 things is absolutely necessary to succeed at the highest level. Next up is the top 1%, the elite. And making the jump from the top 10% to the top 1% will be harder than all the previous efforts combined. As you reach the higher percentages of skill, effort compounds and you are competing only with other committed grinders like yourself. In order to break into the top 1%, which many would consider elite, every part of your playtime needs to be intentional. Any time wasted is time others are using to get better while you are stagnating. Here are the main things you need to work on to get to the next level. Number 1 is respect earned versus granted. Respecting an opponent's abilities to make good plays is one of the most important things to master as you reach the elite level. You have to respect an opponent's ability enough to not make a mistake into them, but you can't over-respect them. If you over-respect someone who doesn't deserve it, then that mistake can easily turn into a flaw. This makes you play unnecessarily passive and afraid. Consider respect on a spectrum that needs to be moved around often throughout any round or match you play in. Next up is committed VOD review, and gameplay should be matched equally with consistent VOD review where you record your gameplay and watch it back. Seeing your gameplay after the fact and analyzing how you performed and what you could have done better from there. Having a coach or outside person watch your gameplay to see things that you might not be able to see due to your bias is also going to help you with committed VOD reviews. Next up is having no core weaknesses. Minimizing mistakes. The goal of any player should be the elimination of all their mistakes, and using VOD reviews and coaching, you can find repeated mistakes and work to eliminate them one by one. As you get better, you make less and less mistakes day by day. Number 4 is having a gaming routine. Creating consistency in your schedule can help you reach your gaming goals. Wake up, warm up, practice, grind, review. Having a routine can help you stay on track and work towards achievable goals. Gamers often fall in the trap of just playing and going through the motions, and it makes goals harder to reach. Number 5 and last up is healthy habits. A healthy body and a healthy mind means higher performance. While it seems easy to just ignore your health and keep grinding your personal problems away, you are just gonna burn out. The body needs to be operating at maximum effectiveness, which can affect play, reaction time, and ability to stay committed. It's important to note that many people who have gotten close to their dreams in gaming have become burnt out and given up, unable to grind anymore due to that burnout. Now, the last section is beyond the top 1%, or pro play. Once you are in the top 1%, it's natural to consider the jump to pro status. That being said, what if I told you that you are actually further away from becoming a pro now than the amount of improvement you experienced from a new player to become a top 1%? There is a huge divide between players who are very, very good and players that can earn money or even a living off of pro play. In order to differentiate yourself and push beyond just a ranked grinder, you need these 5 things to be perfect. Number 1 is understanding the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, this is a study that says that those who are incompetent at something overestimate their skills, but at the highest end, the opposite happens. Players who are incredibly skilled but constantly underestimate their talents compared to their competition. This could easily be combined with imposter syndrome, and eventually players will stagnate when just very, very close to the highest level of play. It's important to keep pushing through and build up your confidence as you navigate the areas of prodigies and true talent. But number 2 is definitely ego, and you need to build the confidence of the best player in the world in order to become the best player in the world. After you are done with the game, you work, grind, and practice, but in game, you play like you are the best player bar none. The quote that players always say, and it's very important to embrace at the highest level: practice like you never won, but play like you never lost. You need to develop a healthy and competitive ego if you want to stand with the best of them. Number 3 is teamwork optimization. Learning effective ways to communicate and synergize with teamwork is essential for pro and high-level play. At this level, you learn roles and how you fill into those, including ways to elevate your value by being a team player. Someone who can IGL or in-game lead, be flexible, be a selfless teammate, or even analyze matches can raise your stock not just as a great player, but a teammate that creates a more successful team. And if you create a more successful team by being a part of it, you're more likely to get more opportunities and stay as a pro that much longer. Number 4 is scrim and tournament play. Consistently scrimming should become part of your routine. Finding a reliable team and putting up tons of hours of practice and compete in as many tournaments as possible. Your tournament results become your resume to make your way through the pro scene and trial and play for better and better teams. You need to be as disciplined with finding the right team as you are grinding the game. Now, the last and certainly not least is competitive integrity. At the highest level of any game community, you will become known and the connections you make will define you. Treat everyone with respect, but at the same time, make sure that you don't fade into the background. You must be known, liked, and respected inside your community if you want the opportunities other people will not get. Once you get that golden opportunity to try out for your dream team, all the effort and preparation you have already put in will make sure that you perform and get that position. And if not, you grind hard and eventually prove them all wrong one day. Here at SEA, we believe you should chase your dreams, so good luck, you got this.